Hey, it's Tuesday night time for Total Schmidt Show. I'm by the ocean. Let's do this. Hey, tune in every week as I travel the world and I talk to entertainers from all over the world. A lot of writers, a lot of comics, a lot of dancers, a lot of singers, a lot of comics, a lot of producers, a lot of tech people, a lot of comics, a lot of piano player type people. You know what I'm talking about. Musicians and lots of comics. Every once in a while, we'll throw in a comedy sketch, something like that, some music, some travel stuff. We'll even do a live remote from one or two of the ports they happen to be hanging out at.
That's it. That's the whole show. And I'm going to record it all and put it on the intraweb. Sometimes. Usually late. Always late. Maybe, I don't know. And weekly? No, maybe. Sort of.
Either way, sit back, grab a beer, light a joint, and enjoy this week's episode of Schmidt Show. Hey, welcome to the show. First of all, do me a favor, like the video before you realize you don't like it. That's how I roll. You click the thumbs up before you realize that you're not happy with it, and then I get the likes. Follow us on social media. You can see tickers above me, below me, next to my head, all kinds of stuff that gives you my social media information. It's all at Mr. Lenny Schmidt. Check those out now. Hey, I was on a ship. Of course I was on a ship. I'm on a ship now doing this intro. For this episode, I was on a ship and I ran into and met David Klinkenberg for the first time, Violinist. He puts on a great show that I did not get an opportunity to see. He has worked for 30 lines, a lot of lines. He's worked for tons and tons of lines. And I started talking to him, found out he was from Woodridge, Illinois, which is right by where I grew up in Bolingbrook, Illinois. It was kind of freaky. We talked about Portillo's, Chicago food, and the Vinci Code, a lot about the Vinci Code. This is a really interesting podcast. I had to edit a lot out because some of the stuff we talked about I think will get us killed. But here is my conversation with David Klinkenberg. Oh, like he was discovering it or creating on the. It's almost like improv. You got to make it like it's like a stand-up act because you got to make it look like you're doing it for the first time.
Yeah, but the difference is I have such mad respect for stand-up acts because just like Seinfeld said, you're writing this.
Yeah.
This joke right here, just like that one. That one. I wrote that.
Yeah, I wrote that. Yeah.
I wrote this. These words coming out of my mouth right now, I wrote them.
Right. Right.
So it's like a one-man play.
Yeah.
At the successful ones, you know, like I
yeah, because you're doing it all. You're writing, you're producing. I just had this conversation. My daughter's an agent now. My daughter works for my agency, and so she works with talent now. She works with agents, and we have this conversation, and we've had this debate. And I go a lot of times. I go, I don't think comics get the respect they deserve sometimes. I don't think you understand the work that goes into what we do. You see a show and you go, "Oh, you're great. I should do that," and you're like, "No, you should not do that. You shouldn't." I've been doing this 36 years. I don't. You know what I mean? I didn't start that way. I sucked for years. I was real bad you know what I mean? I ate a lot of shit for years. So it takes a long time to write, produce, craft, create, and then do a small show or big theater and they look at one guy and they go, "Oh, they forget how I think people forget how hard it is." Or people don't know how hard it is to do stand up. And I don't talk about that a lot because I'm a stand up. And then I feel like I'm bitching, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm complaining. But I got friends, I have some brilliant comics, man, that and they're like me. They work their ass off, they tour, and I'm like, this guy should be way fucking huger than he is. I mean, he should be everybody should know who this guy is. There's a lot of guys like that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys that in this world of the cruise industry.
Yeah.
I mean the people I have the most respect for by far are the stand-up comedians. I mean those are like almost all my friends in the industry, other than the magicians. For some reason, the magicians love it when you put them down, and so I just say what.
That's true.
I don't get it.
Plus, there's an old running joke that every comic wants to be a musician, and every musician wants to be a comic. Kind of. There's this old vibe because every comic would be, I wish I could play something. That'd be great if I could do that. And then every musician is like, man, I wish I could do that comedy. That would be great.
Because then you don't have to carry. For me, I wouldn't even have to carry around the instrument. I like
the overhead helps.
Yes, I like shedding. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Just to be able to stand there, just yourself. I've been watching Chappelle a lot lately.
Yeah.
Just go, like the last 5 that he put out.
Yeah.
And the great ones hit the stage at this like electricity level of like 10.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
As soon as they start talking, you're just like, like Seguro, like Bill Burr.
And Chappelle's a great example. First of all, he's like prophet level now. He's like Pryor type.
Absolutely. Hit
So there's like
level.
him, and then there's Burr and Segura and all these other guys. Even Nate Bargatze has done some good work recently.
Yeah.
Rogan, there's that group, but Chappelle is by far, and the reason, and he goes up as a 10, but he's such a mellow dude. He's not. I'm high energy, and like Burr's very animated and angry.
Yeah.
But Chappelle is just very low key, but there's still the energy in the room is ridiculous.
Oh gosh,
when he goes on stage.
I think you can tell how great a comic is by the DBs of the voice coming out of their mouth.
What do you mean DBs?
How high their volume is.
Yeah.
The greats
Yeah.
are just.
Oh, that's bad for me because I yell a lot. I'm a big Kinnison
I didn't know.
fan.
I haven't seen
No,
it.
I'm a huge Kinnison
Yeah,
fan.
no.
You ever see Franklin Ajaya? Dude, you would love Franklin Ajaya. He was a comic in the 70s. He actually taught a class on stand-up comedy out of USC, I think. He wrote a book called Comic Insights, okay? And it's an interview with 20 different comics. He's legendary. He's a comic that grew up in the U.S., but then moved to England. He's still around. He was in some TV, did some TV work. He was in Deadwood. He was on that show.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I don't know if you ever saw Deadwood. Okay. He is the lowest key. He's almost whispering when he talks. He's brilliant. He is brilliant. He's a guy I saw.
You have to be.
Before I started doing
You're
stand-up,
whispering.
I love this guy. And then I saw him, and then I'm at the Improv one night. He comes in, and I'm like, holy shit, Franklin. I said I'd never met him. And I just walked up to him, and I go, hey, man, I'm a huge fan. I love your work. I just want to watch you. And it's the room is crazy and it's animated and there's a lot of high energy. I didn't perform that night. I was just hanging out. And the guy before him was loud. The room was kind of loud and active. There's a lot of talking and heckling. And he walked up, man, and just walks right up and does his thing. And he's quiet. He'll wait, take a drink of his drink. He did 20 minutes, got a standing ovation, and crushed. He does a great bit. You Google him sometime and look up on YouTube. He does a great bit about coming in last in the Olympics. It's genius. It's just, he's just running. He goes, man, I'm in last. He was like, I trained 4 years for this. He goes, I could have now trained it all and come in last.
Dude.
And he's a brilliant comic.
Did you see recently in the Olympics, it made a big hullabaloo, like the Olympic Committee, they said was totally corrupted by something or other, and this some enough people on the Olympic Committee got together and got like their cousin or something in the 100-meter dash. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see any of that.
Oh, this was hysterical. And like you have I actually really loved watching it because
was this recent?
Yeah, this wasn't that long ago.
Because I know they have some shit go down in soccer.
Maybe it wasn't the Olympics. Maybe it was World. Who knows?
Right.
Some major though, world stage, world class, 100. Like track and field competition.
Right.
That was either World Championships or the Olympics, something.
Right.
And it was like the lineup of the freaking like athletes that look like inhuman.
Yeah.
And then this one chick that just looks like she just got out of her shift at the Tennies.
Like walked up a bus.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like just this like Indian chick, and she gets down and what's so great about this is I thought they should put one of her in every single race.
Yeah.
I really think that they should add that to every race.
Yeah.
Because she gets down and she takes off, and as soon as you see it, you go, oh man, I recognize what that lady's doing. That lady's running. I know what running looks like. That's what running looks like.
Right.
Right? She's running.
Right.
And she's trying.
Like a regular person.
Yeah. And it looks like running.
Yeah.
What those other people are doing, you realize that doesn't even look like running anymore.
Yeah, because
they're
like machines.
Skating.
They're trains. Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's a straight
It's
motion.
just this acceleration.
It's a
it doesn't
robot,
even look human.
It's all technique. Yeah, it's all straight technique. Where real people run and there's arms and sweat flying.
Yes. And to see it next to each other.
There should be one in every race. You're totally right. So you can have some sort of level to. Look at that
control
guy.
group.
You're right. A control.
So you can see how good those people are. You're like, damn. I mean,
these people. Look at him.
Yeah.
That would be me right now.
That's running. I don't know what that other
those
stuff
people
is.
are seasoned professionals. Those are machines.
Even the person who came in last of that major group is still.
So even they're totally
They're
technique
still,
correct.
You know, and 4 minutes later, just limping across. You know, big cramp. You know,
yeah, I mean, she was running fast.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like their cousin could kind of run.
Right.
Probably. She was probably the fastest at the Denny's.
That's got to be on YouTube somewhere. I got to find that.
Yeah, it didn't make like a huge. But I was gonna go back to the. Have you seen? Nobody ever talks about women comics a lot. You know, a lot of it's like Pryor, Chappelle, Burr. But Amy Schumer's last stand-up was.
Was it good?
Very.
Oh, I didn't see her last one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, she didn't get you know, my DB level analysis. I see patterns and data. So this is hers is like down.
Okay.
She does the whole thing. Just
really?
Like, yeah, hardly moving. You know, talking about what it's like to be. You know, she sits right there in that. You know, that sort of space of. You know, not particularly like extremely hot. You know, you don't look at Amy Schumer and go, "Wow." You know what I mean? You
right.
She hits that, and she talks about that so well.
Right.
What it's like to be a girl like her.
Right. The average girl.
Yeah, the average girl. And
yeah, I didn't see her last special, man. I was just watching some clips of Michelle Wolf. You know who she is, right? Michelle Wolf. She had a show on Showtime for a short period of time. And I think it was Showtime, and they got canceled. She did the president's thing. What's the thing they do every year? That the
prayer breakfast.
The correspondence. No, every year.
Oh, the correspondence dinner. Oh, she did that.
She did one of those a few years ago.
Oh, I hear
and it was hilarious.
I hear that's just the most that challenging thing that any comic.
It's also changed now though too, because now it's more. It's almost. I mean, you got to be. They're very woke in that thing. Like you can't really take shots at the president like they used to. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you can't take shots at certain presidents. I think you could probably,
yeah. Well, you can't take shots at the sides now. That's the problem. Like, if you any joke about the Democrats, no one will laugh at that dinner because they're all Democrats.
Yeah.
But years ago, you could make the old ones with George W. They tore him apart, and the Republicans, and they're all laughing. Everybody's laughing.
Yeah.
And you could make fun of different parties. Something happened. This is right around the Obama years. Just past Clinton and Obama, where now when you make fun of one side, if you're on that side, they won't laugh. You can't. Remember old Saturday Night Live, the early years of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Well, when Dana Carvey used to do, not Dana Carvey. I'm sorry. Who did George W? Who George Bush?
That was Dana Carvey.
Was it Dana Carvey? Yeah, right. Okay.
Not gonna do
it. Yeah, but him, and even as early as Chevy Chase doing Gerald Ford, but before they did makeup and stuff, when he used to fall down all over the place. You can make fun of all the presidents, and it was funny.
That's funny because, like, it's funny how I have a degree in politics, so that's funny.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know.
Dude, can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah.
How old are you? You gonna tell me or not?
No, I will.
Yeah?
I'm almost 50.
No, you're not. Are you? You're lying.
No.
Seriously? I was going to say, because you look really fucking young, dude. You look like the early 30s. I mean, maybe late 20s. I mean, you got a little bit...
I mean, I'm not almost 50, but I mean, I'm...
What's almost 50? 30.
28.
4.
I don't know.
34. Because we talked, that's why we talked to you. You said you've been on 15 lines, and you started when you were young, and you've been doing this.
Well, I did 15 cruise lines in 1 year.
Right. That's insane.
Yeah.
And you have a degree, where from? Did you study? Where?
Yeah, I have a degree from Oregon State University. My dad went there, and his dad and my sister, and so it was kind of like a legacy thing. We were in Oregon, and so yeah, I interned at Senator Wyden's office. Like I wanted to get into. I mean, I still do. I absolutely love politics and the political debate.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's my passion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. I don't know if I could fucking stomach it or deal with it. I watch news all the time, both sides. I watch all the channels, try to get both point of views.
It's so good.
It's getting so hard to... I was just having this debate with some girl that wouldn't go out with me because I was watching Fox News. She found I was watching Fox News. And she's like, oh my God, I can't talk to you if you're watching Fox News. I go, I watch all the news. I watch every single channel. Yeah. And then, in fact, the joke I do here on the ship, I talk about the cable. I go, you got the Trump channel, you got the anti-Trump channel. Then if you want the news, you just watch BBC, and that's the joke. And which is kind of,
I'm not a giant BBC fan.
Well, it's more accurate than sometimes. It's more news than
if you want accurate, you would watch. Wait for it. C-SPAN.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Nobody ever watches that.
Right. No. Yeah.
I watched it.
Sure.
Because, I mean, when you're working at a senator's office, C-SPAN's on all the time.
Right.
All they watch is C-SPAN.
Right.
Because it actually has the on-the-floor debate.
Right.
And what you notice when you watch C-SPAN and then watch the major channels is what you normally have is an eminently reasonable debate among eminently reasonable people.
Right.
Right? And then it just gets ridiculously caricatured.
Right.
And then by the time it gets to the cable news, they're just taking little snippets
no,
out of
it's
it.
bullet
It's turning
points
into
of
something.
it's all clicks now. It's all advertising and clicks.
I really
You know what I
do
mean?
think that the country is being cleaved in half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not Democrat Republican. Tectonic plates are shifting among the electorate as far as who's voting for who, what parties.
Yeah.
But the tectonic plates are shifting around, I think, a single cleavage point, like a single line. And that line is, in my opinion, those people who have come to realize that all mainstream media is lying to you.
Right.
And those people who haven't.
Okay, that makes sense.
This line is really quite now significant.
I agree with you. No, I think you're, and I don't know as much. Obviously, I didn't study politics, but I watch it constantly as a comic. I'm aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
But I get most of my news from the internet. I search. I watch different clips, different things bounce around. You can't believe or trust. I'm a big believer on that. Everybody has a voice to listen to all different sides. Like you said, it's so watered down on one of the major news channels. They're only playing to one side and hitting the beats and getting the hits.
They are lying to you constantly.
Right. And they'll twist the information so bad that it's completely wrong. And
Layers of lies.
Right.
It's meant to misinform you. And if you think that somehow, CNN's not, or MSNBC isn't, or whatever, you are absolutely lying to yourself.
Right. Well, I think they also want us on a level. They want us misinformed. I think a lot of it. I don't think they want us to know everything. The major news. They want to water it down. It's easier to lie to people and trick people if you know less. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, what's the agenda? It doesn't seem to. I have a comprehensive view of this, which would be hard to get into in a.
Yeah.
You know, but I've written books on it. I actually just this week I was in my room. What I've been doing all week is getting many of my articles published in international peer-reviewed articles. So I have like half a dozen international, anthropological studies or historical study journals from around the world that's just published my work this week.
Okay.
To add to the library.
Jesus, dude, you've done everything. You're too good for this podcast. I got news for you. Most of my people just juggle or tell jokes.
Yeah, juggling takes skill. Joke taking that's mad respect. Magician.
It always goes back to magician.
I've been conned out a lot of money by a couple magicians. I'm not get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, what's happening in the country as far as my parents and I have this huge. I mean, they are firmly on the side of. There is no way that every single person on the news is lying to me.
So they still believe major news media.
Yes, they only watch CNN and MSNBC, and so if you've ever turned on, like what you said, if you have ever turned Fox News on, everything that you say is tainted, and you've been completely duped.
Right.
Yeah, you're politically ignorant.
Yeah, my uncle watches Fox News 24/7. That's all he watches, and but I have a big chunk of my family they're that side. They're big Trump supporters. They're the other way, and I listen to both sides. You know what's worse? You ever listen to Newsmax? I think it's called Newsmax.
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Okay, dude, that was one that I had a hard time sitting through that one. I'm like, after 10 minutes, I go, I can't even listen to this shit. I mean, it's so far right. It's like caveman times. It's just. There's aliens that are here, and it's just, and Biden's an alien, or a lot of them beat this. They're on the Michelle Obama is really a man. Her name is so and so, and they really have exposés about this. And they talk about it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there was a. It's funny because all of these like memes that make it up to everything is just like the C-SPAN phenomenon.
Yeah.
Right. that all of that stuff starts out as a meme. There was an actual I don't know if you would call this a political analysis, but it was a more academic level analysis that I saw, that presidents tend to marry more mannish women, if that's a term that you can even use anymore and not get canceled. I don't know.
I think you can.
More masculine women.
Right, okay.
Yeah, edit that. I don't know. Whatever.
No, I think we can say that one.
Yeah, president, like male, like yeah.
I'm editing everything about the magicians.
And they went back and they showed,
Really?
Yeah, you don't have very many presidents that have ever, Abraham Lincoln, all the way, you have like, the Bushes.
Well, it wasn't Mary Todd. Mary Todd had huge issues though, right? Didn't she, like, Mary Todd, there was Lincoln's
Yeah. One of the issues she probably had, spoiler alert, was the fact that that Abraham Lincoln was most likely gay.
Right. There's another. I've heard that story too, and there was another one. There supposedly was I don't know. I don't speak out of turn, but apparently there's also. I have heard the thread that a lot of first ladies first were gay. I've heard that there've been a handful of them.
Yeah.
That had women lovers, or there's apparently a video of one that's huge that I just read about recently. I don't want to misspeak and say who it possibly was, but
and I can almost see that this might be a feature of ambitious couples. Could it be true? So this is where the analysis comes from, right? And then by the time it gets to Newsmax level, it's Michelle Obama is a man,
right?
And
they whittle all the important shit off it and just right.
They get down to there's no fat on that.
She has a penis. You're like, whoa, yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah. Yeah, because you can imagine, the more ambitious the guy, right?
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, because let's just be honest with ourselves. The hotter the girl, the more traditionally attractive the girl.
Right.
She's going to be growing up in everybody's, you know what I mean? And that girl is going to be like, that girl is not going to be like, let me help you build your website for you.
No.
That girl is going to be like, dude,
this is worth
everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, can you mount a very substantial presidential campaign with a wife that's not only not helping you?
Right. Plus, she's also really big on you need to work for this. This is what you need to work for. And if you have ambition, you have goals. You have major, to be a president or politics, that's your whole life is consumed by that.
It's all you can think about.
Yeah, morning to day. So you don't have time to go out and get flowers for box of candy.
I'll just tell you the truth. I have dated both types.
Right.
And interestingly, at least in my experience, there's almost like a 24/7 sort of narcissism among a lot of girls I've dated, where, man, if they can sense that you're doing anything other than attending to them and their needs, and so they will create. You can see it happen in real time. They will create like some manic behavior, or it's like trying to get your attention back.
Right.
You're thinking about something other than me right now, so I'm going to do something just absolutely batshit so that you have to come back here.
Well, that's like a needy thing, right? That's what they call it, right? Needy. Console was a needing. Yeah, it's narcissistic.
Yeah. The 24-hour attention.
Right.
So if you obviously if you're trying to run for president, you're like, well, sweetie, I'm sorry, there's a war going on in the Middle East.
There's a war going on. I got to deal with this.
I'm just trying to picture. For some reason, I can't. Oh yeah, okay. I was like, I couldn't picture Biden's wife for a second to see it.
Oh, she's a doctor. Is she a doctor? Yes, she is.
Honorary.
Well, doctorate. Yeah, but
she has an honorary.
Look, I know that you still got to do some work to get the honorary doctorate, right?
I'm just being honest with you.
No, I don't know. I'm not
saying that
I'm asking you because I don't know.
I'm not saying she didn't do any.
Right.
I'm just saying you wouldn't have to have.
Right. Okay.
She would be within the bound. I haven't looked.
Is it one of those things you can buy your way into?
I don't think you can buy your way in, but if you are, you know what I mean. If you
are
the wife of a president, if you give enough money to the school,
wink, wink.
Yeah, wink,
that's what
wink.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
right.
So there would certainly be,
Because Cosby's.
I'm not sure what she did, huh?
Cosby's the doctor.
Right, a real one.
Bill Togsby from is it Grambling or it's in Philadelphia, one of those colleges over there, that area.
Because he played one on TV.
Yeah, that must be why he got it. I don't know, but he's a doctorate. He got a doctorate. I remember it was a big deal.
This is before the jail stuff.
Oh, has something happened with Cosby that I haven't heard of?
You don't know? No, he's fine now. He's out. He's busy. He's all right.
Oh, okay.
There was a paperwork problem.
Oh man, that was too bad. That was sad. I took my dad to see him in college.
Dude, I still, you know what? I try to look at, you know what? Him and Michael Jackson. Artists, phenomenal. Then personal life, you're like, fucking, whoa, wow, man. It's so depressing. It hurts. You know, because you're like, to this day, there's still people, first of all, that think that Bill Cosby was set up. There's still people that think that it didn't happen.
It's probably more likely that Jackson was set up than Cosby.
100%.
I mean, Dave Chappelle does a wonderful bit on this, you know, that he rapes but he saves.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, how did you make that line funny?
Well, it's because he's Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
That's that crazy level of comedy where you just, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, but his line on that, I think, is pretty solid.
Which one? What is it?
Well, that's just like, I mean, I don't know how, you know, what the funny bit was, but I think the essence of it is, and a lot of people share this, that Jackson was so, innocent-minded in spirit.
Right.
Even the way that he talked. I mean, even the way that he communicated with the media.
Right.
You could picture that if anyone could have, you know, a group of 10-year-olds in their room and not be, it would be him.
It would be Michael Jackson. Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, because he had that childhood where he was instantly, you know, famous, and so you get fixated at that age.
Yeah, the development thing. Arrested, almost a type of Arrested Development, where he's thrust into the popularity at such a young age. And the stories with his dad were fucking horrible. Those, I mean, all of that upbringing.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, what that does to your development as a 9, 8, 10-year-old child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course, the one of the officers who, the detective who presided over his case, came to a show of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know how we even got into this conversation, but she was convinced.
Do you bring up Michael Jackson during your show?
No.
I know, I didn't think so.
Yeah, it'd be just drop that little grenade in the middle of my classical violin concert.
Let's talk about MJ real quick, you guys don't mind.
Because I have a theory. No.
Now that I have your attention.
Yeah, right. But he said that, you know, like, I mean, Chappelle said that Macaulay Culkin, he goes, that was one of the things that he said in his defense. He goes, of all the people, you know, Macaulay Culkin said that he hung out with him all the time, and he goes, never once anything inappropriate.
Right.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, Cosby, it's like, the truth is, there's a lot of people who think he was set up too. I mean, what do they say, like 50 women though?
Yeah, there were a lot of women.
That's a lot.
There's a lot.
That is a lot.
And they all had something to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They all had
story.
And they were all pretty similar. It was the drug thing and he comes from, you know, if you want to look deeper into it, he comes from a culture when that was cool. You know, in the early 70s, the Playboy Mansion, late 60s, he hung out there all the time. Hugh Hefner, it was a big joke. Like, what happened to you last night? You know, the girls would come up, wake up, I don't remember last night. You know, it was a running fucking thing they did back then that everybody just kind of shrugged off like it was okay.
Yeah. Well, I still like to think of he was a comedic hero, you know, to a lot of people.
He was brilliant. No, I'm not taking away from his comedy at all. Like, I can differentiate
and he did so much
personal and the comedy.
For, you know, the country as far as portraying a black family.
Well, the show, The Cosby Show, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal show. And he oversaw all of that, and he made sure it was a good show. It was a quality show because they made sure it was a quality show. And you're right, it was a great show in a time when there were no shows. The only show about a black family before that, well, Good Times in the Jeffersons.
Good Times, yeah, in the Jeffersons,
right,
which all had a particular
and there was Norman Lear, but they had a not a vibe, but a theme basically. And for their time, those shows were phenomenal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Norman Lear. I love his stuff. I love everything. I was a huge fan of All in the Family. He broke ground that, you know, Maude. My mom fucking loved Maude. She was Maude. My mom was Maude. She watched it every week. She just loved being.
My mom is Everybody Loves Raymond's mom.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great. I like her.
Oh, gosh. To the T.
That's a great character on that show.
Just all guilt.
Yeah. Oh, the mom.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant Ray's wife.
Oh no.
Oh, that's great. So he's
Oh goodness.
Dude, what kind of pressure is that? The one that can guilt you to death with 3 words?
Oh man.
Okay, David.
I'm gonna be dead soon. You're like, man.
All right.
No, I know. I mean, she watches that show that's almost every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like their idea of humor. They're adorable, these two.
Is your dad like the dad?
I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot like that. I think these sort of stereotypical relationships. I think they play in real life because
Sure. Well, they're based on. Yeah, that's where they come from. They're written from real.
Yeah, a character like her would require a passive-aggressive counterpart.
Yes. Yeah, there's the only way they
couldn't
could
also be aggressive.
No.
You'd have to, yeah.
There would have to be a yin and a yang there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too much, and someone would kill themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're kids. Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, dude, let's talk about the violin stuff for a little bit, man. I didn't get a chance to talk about any of it. I didn't get to see your show, and I feel really bad about it. I wish I would have got a chance.
This is the best show.
Yeah, was it ever?
Cruise
Yeah.
ever of all time. Yeah.
Okay.
It's too bad.
See, I know, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
Yeah, that's all right.
My show sucked.
That's what I heard.
Well, I was doing magic this time.
Poof! There goes the punchline.
So, dude, this is first of all, the guy that you brought on stage to do piano.
Oh yeah.
I saw him at lunch yesterday, and that's all he talked about. I'm like, he walked around. Oh, did you see the show? Yeah, did you see me? And he was jazzed.
Really,
dude. I'm not kidding you. He must have told 10 people. I was sitting there having lunch, and he just kept walking around. You made his cruise, dude. Anytime you do something that we were talking about the other night, bring a guest on stage, give them an opportunity in front of a theater full of people to get a standing ovation and perform. You made that guy's life, his cruise, and half the people in the room will never forget that moment ever. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, that I tend to do that in my shows. It's something that I kind of developed over the years of I was an opening act to major like stadium shows.
Right.
And how many things can stand up playing the violin to what's about to come. Like if you're on with Lone Star, or you're touring with like any major country act, or pop act, Sixpence, or whoever it happens to be.
Right.
And like one time the tour manager was like, hey, go out and warm up the crowd. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I mean, what can I possibly do that's going to stand up to what's about to come?
Yeah, right.
So I started doing that. And that moment was just seismic in the room. I mean, you pull someone out from a crowd.
Yeah.
And you give them that moment. So that, years later, there was a family that sent me a video of their son. And it was just a video of their son accepting a Juilliard valedictorian award. He was a cellist, and he was valedictorian.
Yeah.
And he's giving this long speech, and at first I'm going like, why did they send me this? People brag about their kids all the time, and so I was just kind of watching it. And then about 3/4 of the way through, he said that he attributed his love of this instrument. He played it, but not the way that he did after. He came to my show, and he had that moment.
Oh, no. Oh, that's phenomenal. Dude,
Yeah.
that's great, dude.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling.
I know. So, usually I try to find little kids, but they're not on the ship, So
Right.
This time there was just, it was obvious that it was a big dream of his to come up and do something like that.
I guess it's got to be as powerful on both sides of it. Like I used to work with and teach kids. I taught acting, comedy, and improv at my daughter's school, and 2 of the kids went on to study acting, and I did have one of them reach out to me and thank me for the work they did. But it's got to be, I liked impressing kids when they were young, but it's got to be just as powerful on the other side if you're really old. You've never had the opportunity. You spent your whole life, you've never done it. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like 2 different versions of it. The young version, you're inspiring him, and he changes his whole life moving forward. And this guy can look back at his whole life and do something he's always dreamed of. And you make a dream completely come true for this guy.
That's really powerful. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, wow, yeah. There was one time also. I mean, yeah, it's interesting because like that also has a really powerful effect on the crowd as well. There was like one guy who had written this song for his wife at their wedding.
Yeah.
And had never performed it in any environment like that. He'd never performed it again. He'd never played it since then.
Right.
And he came up, and I let him play whatever he was going to play, and I'm trying to make it into a duet in real time.
Right.
So most of these things I don't rehearse.
Right. Yeah.
So it's real.
Yeah.
This time I literally just said to the crowd, I hadn't found him. I just said to the crowd, if anyone knows how to play anything, come up and this can be your moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this little guy just comes up and he sits down at the piano, and gosh, he could have been 80. And he just starts to play this beautiful piece that it was an original, something no one's ever heard before.
Right.
And I just played along as a duet, and man, I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the room.
Yeah,
it was
I bet.
an extremely powerful moment. And he gets on the mic. He goes, "Let me say one thing," and and I give him the microphone, and he's just like really sheepishly. He says, and there were tears in his eyes, and he said, "I wrote that song for my wife, and that was the song that I played for her on our wedding, and I've never played it since. So thank you for this opportunity." And I mean, my gosh, the entire crowd.
Right.
It's just the impact is so.
Was she there?
Tremendous, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Dude, that's huge. Yeah, you can't write that into a show. That is a total moment thing, man. That is pure. That is fucking badass. That is really cool.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that makes every show unique and different.
Right.
So I'm not just running through.
Yeah, just busting out songs and tying it together with a story and line or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, something that I think I'll probably do forever. In fact, there was a guy that wants to do a television show of me going around the world doing that.
Yeah.
So he came up to me not very long ago. We might be pitching it, but we're in the works with History Channel and Travel and Discovery.
Right. Yeah.
To try to see if we can get a show launched in the next year. But I shifted that because you don't know this probably because I didn't do it this cruise, but on most cruises I give a lecture on the Da Vinci Code.
Oh,
so,
right. Okay. Right. Okay.
So I was like, man, that's a great idea, go around the world and do that, because he'd come to my show. But I said, man, I think if we're going to do a show, the History Channel, Travel Channel, I think they'd rather do it on the Da Vinci Code. So we shifted it over to the Da Vinci Code. So we'll see if we can pitch that one. But if that doesn't work, I might do this show where I go around the world. And I think wouldn't that be just a great show?
That'd be a phenomenal show.
You go around and you're in Boston, or you're in Paris, or you're in Venice, and you find local talent maybe that's working on the street.
Right.
There's a lot of great street musicians. I've
You're a huge fan of street musician talent, street talent. That's a whole different level of entertaining.
Yeah, I pulled up like a 10-year-old kid in Portland. They had me do a show for the Eclipse. Remember the Eclipse?
Yeah.
So the Salem had me do the official show at the amphitheater. So the night before the Eclipse, I was in Portland, and there was a kid that was playing on the streets that weekend, and he had his father there, and he was playing piano for tips and everything, and I brought him into that show.
Right.
And I mean, just it's a huge impact on everyone.
Yeah.
So if we were thinking about going around the world and doing that.
Dude, that's a great idea. You could totally find, anywhere you go, you can find somebody that's a performer and a singer. There's what good examples, like some of these crew members. I used to be somebody's on Carnival. You can go in the crew area. Used to be able to crew area and crew bar, and sometimes in the crew bar late at night they did jam sessions, and people from the Philippines and Indonesia and Japan and everyone would come and bring a guitar or something and play. And there's some ridiculously talented people everywhere in the world performing in the town. They don't have an opportunity to perform.
Oh yeah,
they
you
just
get
don't
that
get
on
a chance.
karaoke night too. They're really good at that.
Yeah,
I pulled only one time have I ever had the opportunity to pull in a crew, and that was as big of a moment as any other moment.
Yeah.
So it absolutely works. It's just there you got to have on in any corporate environment, you have to have organization up and down the chain of command.
Yeah, it's a huge pain in the ass.
Her manager has to sign off, and her manager's manager has to sign off, and it just becomes this huge.
Well, the only reason it worked for us is that where I saw it was the crew environment. It's just them hanging out. They were drinking and partying and doing stuff. But I noticed the talent. I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. That's the thing, is you have no idea how talented they are. But in order for you to get them to perform, you have to. It's a corporate thing. You got to work your way through the chain of command and paperwork and all this. You know what I mean? It would be a nightmare. It would be a real pain in the ass.
Oh yeah, that just reminds me. After we hung out, I went down to the crew bar and jammed with some people. I knew there had to be some other extra thing to that story. I was like, this is ringing a bell. Wait a second. Yeah, no, so that happened on this one.
Did you really?
Yeah, there were people down there and they were playing guitar, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, that's great. Well, I can't even go in I was told not to go to the crew area.
You were?
Yeah.
By multiple people, probably.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm not intimidating any officers. I'll tell you right now. I'm the last guy they're worried about. No, but it's in the contract. I just never even asked, never even thought about it. And
you can go down there and buy water.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I should do that.
They do let you do that. I have tons if you want.
Yeah, I've been refilling this up in the upstairs.
I work out with it. I have like an app that I downloaded.
Yeah.
How to work out in your cabin.
Oh, right on. Okay.
It's like an app for working out, and it says use water bottles.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so I'm
for weight.
I'm like doing squats with the case.
I like that. That makes sense. All right, yeah, of course. That's
I found out just today, my violin is a perfect
for a curl.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Dumbbell curl.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get in shape if in case this TV show goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I need to get in TV shape. I'm not in TV shape.
You're fine. Wear a baggy shirt, you'll be all right. You don't look good. You're in better. You're in good shape. You're okay.
I'm barely in cruise ship.
Are you going to do the show topless? Because then you need to be in better shape.
Well, I want to be in like. I mean, remember that like it was a comedian again, and he talked about Ben Stiller. He's like, dude, these people like these actors, they work so hard. I mean, look at Ben Stiller in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
That dude didn't have to get a six. He got a six pack.
Yeah.
For that movie.
Yeah.
That is kind of astonishing.
No, it's amazing what they do. Well, you read some of these training programs they follow to get ready for these movies. Well, you know, we'll have the Marvel guys.
Oh, the best one, I was going to say, the best one I've ever seen is Thor.
Yeah.
Oh, Thor, yeah. Have you seen Thor Love and Thunder?
Oh, yeah.
What he did for Thor Love and Thunder was insane. Mm-hmm. I've never seen any transformation like that ever. I think there should be an Academy Award for that.
Right, the physical
transformation. Like Brad Pitt and Troy.
Yeah.
I thought that fight scene between him and Eric Bana was just so incredible.
It was vicious,
Yeah. So well done. You never get anybody.
Well, the 300 workout too. That was a famous workout for years. That became a book and a workout and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think they painted those abs on those.
Some of those guys look painted.
Yeah, they were.
But Gerard Butler wasn't. Gerard Butler was cut.
I know. Yeah.
But some of those other guys, they were. It's easier to paint the abs on now. It's almost getting to a point where you can. They don't
I thought about that. I always look for like shortcuts. I'm a shortcut guy.
You shortcut?
Yeah, I'm thinking of writing a book. I mean, I've outlined it, and the book is called "Don't Steal This." This is patented. It's trademarked already. But my book is called Zero Steps.
Dude, everybody buys that book already. That's a great idea. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, and I have a great, there's so many great examples, right, of Zero Steps philosophy.
Right.
So, a bed, for example, you walk into, some people's rooms, and, the bed has, 97 pillows on it, and it's all, you know what I mean? It's like they have their, stuffed animals, it's all displayed like a Pier 1 Imports catalog. Zero Steps, you have to get up every single day. You have to make that bed every single night. You have to take all those pillows off because you can't sleep on them. You know what I mean? You have to put them somewhere. Then you have to, you go through this routine every day. I go, look, if you just didn't buy that stupid Pier 1 Imports catalog, it wouldn't convince you to put all those stupid pillows on. Every single day you wouldn't have to put them on. Every single morning you wouldn't have to take them off.
So you're working your way back, eliminating all this, right back to ground zero. Right there, that's where you need to be. Right there. There.
Eliminate that step and
all these are gone.
Have to do.
That's a really good idea, bro. That's smart. Yeah.
My socks, I buy all the same sock.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
That way I don't have to match socks.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
They're all matched coming out of the gate.
Same one. Yeah, right. There you go. Smart.
Zero Steps philosophy.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. I got a lot of black T-shirts too. I'm a big black T-shirt guy.
So I have there's many things that I do with Zero Steps.
Yeah, I like that. That's smart. Very smart.
Dude, you gotta get that down. It's a really good book.
I know, and I have I don't want to give away all the examples because I want people to still buy it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the 9 people that watch this podcast aren't gonna fuck it.
Hi, 9 people. Hi, Mom.
Dude, if I get another, I'll take your mom. I'll take another follower. Why not?
I was talking about your mom.
Oh, duh, my mom, she doesn't watch this.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, we already mentioned Trump too much for my parents.
Yeah. See, if I can mention Trump more, that's what my family will watch. That's my
oh, they will.
Uncle. I have like a divided family. A lot of Trump. My stepfather, my mom passed, but my stepfather's a crazy Trump, hardcore right guy.
Oh, okay. And he's from Chicago?
Hard right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, South Side Chicago.
South Side of Chicago, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because, I mean, that is not Trump country.
It's not. No, it's not. But it's in that near South Side. A lot of that South Side. There's a lot of Republicans.
That's how every Chicagoer knew that Smollett story was a total sham.
The what?
The Juicy Smollett.
Yes.
That's how everybody who lived in Chicago was like, wait a second.
Yeah. There's no way.
This is Trump country.
Yeah. Not in the city. No, the city area. There's no way. That's not Trump country.
At 2:00 in the morning.
No.
On your way to a
No, but the
subway
farther
sandwich.
you get out in the suburbs, there's a lot more Republicans. Like even where I went to high school, they're all. Most of my friends are all Republicans and Trump guys from high school.
Oh, okay.
Probably about 80% down in the Bolingbrook area.
Yeah, Bolingbrook.
Yeah.
I went to Downer South.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just, I was a total nerd. I was too busy trying to avoid getting
beat up.
Jumped on the way to school. It was a hard. Back when we went to high school, it's not like the way it is now. Progressive and protecting and safe space.
No,
there were no safe spaces in
No, when I was a kid, I got bullied, and I was also a bully. I had both levels of the gamut. So,
yeah, good for you.
But all through middle school, I got the shit kicked out of me every single day.
That's all.
Every day.
Yeah.
And then I started playing football, and when I was in high school, and then the older I got, it started to change a little bit. But there was always like 4 guys that always bullied me until I started playing football, and then I didn't. Then I was one of those weird guys that got along with the jocks and the stoners and everybody. But you could get in a fight and get the shit kicked out of you back then. Nobody cared.
Oh, in Chicago, it was almost like in the middle of the school.
Yeah.
There were a dozen huge fights.
Well, and they would break up and just say, "Go to class." There was no.
The circle would form.
Yeah. There would be a circle in the middle, and sometimes you couldn't get out of the circle. You ever been in one of those?
Oh, okay.
Where they're pushing you back into the circle?
Oh, yeah.
There was just a few of those where I'm just trying to get out. I'm like, somebody let me out of the circle. Just please. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was a different time growing up.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because I got my kids growing up now. They go through, it's almost culture shock when I would go back to their school. There was stuff that happened. And I was abreast of it. It was weird because I was aware of it as my daughters. I just have girls. So it was even worse because I had brothers growing up, so I didn't know what it was like to be a girl or have a girl. So they're dealing with and a lot of the shit we did when I was a kid, you pulled girls' hair, you did a lot of shit when I was a kid.
They're probably dealing with it in a social media way that's just got to be so. I mean, kids these days look like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
In the middle of like a cat factory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like their heads are on a swivel.
Right.
They just look so worried.
Where they're so the album I told you I was just editing about. I do a huge chunk about the social media, the effect on social media on kids growing up into their 20s now, and how I don't know, dude. Watching my daughters go through this peer pressure shit through fucking 8th grade and high school. I mean, I don't know how I don't know if I would have survived. They're under constant 24-hour peer pressure as a kid.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get bullied at night when you're home in bed. You know. When I was a kid, one of the jokes I did is like when I was a kid, when you got your ass kicked in school, you went home and shook it off for the summer, and now you got to relive that beating every night on TikTok with memes and faces and people pointing at you, and I mean it never goes away.
Yeah, at least I guess I didn't have to deal with that.
No, it was. I don't know, dude. I worry. I always think about the 20 years from now how that's going to affect society as a whole, as an overhaul.
Oh yeah, the gap between the generations is now enormous.
Right.
Yeah, like that they're talking about that in even like major magazines. Time magazine wrote a big article about how the gap has just now become quite substantial.
Right.
It used to be, and it used to be like hundreds and hundreds of years there really wasn't much of a gap at all.
Right.
And then it started kind of picking up, and in like the 20s and then 30s, there was a gap there as well. The Industrial Revolution, and there's a gap. But I mean, it's becoming intense now.
Well, the gap, also the animosity between the millennials and the Gen Zers It's almost ridiculous when you watch it. You're like, you're right next to each other. You guys are almost the same people.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, it's a thing they're going through now. They give each other. There's the Facebook generation and the TikTok generation, and they're two different worlds, and they have so much animosity toward each other. It's almost surreal to watch it because, like,
and they're being fed just lies.
Yeah, you're being constantly fed lies. Well, now you're being led not just major news. You're being fed 24 hours a day on your phone, constant lies. You know what I mean? And when you're young, you're very impressionable, and you're believing things, and your mind is being completely altered by whatever you're seeing on the screen. I think there's got to. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to do this. I mean, a big chunk of my last special is about this internet thing and how we've lost control of it. And there's got to be a way to keep an eye on the misinformation that's going out on the internet.
Well, and we're coming into a scenario now where, let's say that you are just hypothetically in a chicken coop, okay?
Right.
And let's just say hypothetically that surrounding that chicken coop are extremely big wolves that do want to get inside and murder you all.
Right.
All right. In that scenario, you're inside the chicken coop, but in the chicken coop, it's like freedom of speech, freedom of press, and everything. And everybody inside the chicken coop is just talking about nitpicking each other about how awful the chicken coop is.
Right.
You look at like third world countries and they don't deal with that because they control all media inside the chicken coop.
Right.
So they tell everyone how great you are. Like if you're in North Korea, you think that your leader actually poops lightning bolts.
Yeah, right. He's the greatest. Yeah. Yeah.
So they don't have to deal with the internal pressures telling your kids how horrible you are.
Right.
How your founders were all racist and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
At some point you just have to go like, man, what is the solution here? Left to its own devices, you tell the worst stories about yourself. You have enemies that are, absolutely going to exploit every bit of that.
Right.
When your back gets to a wall, I mean, does the country come together and go, wait a second, we are serious, some significant existential threats externally.
Right.
Do you take control of the? I mean, I think to myself, not to get too political, but I always will. You push the on button. But you go to other countries.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, what's the reason why this is happening in the United States? Well, it's because we have a free press, right? And there's all these, in the philosophical terms, all these Lacanian sort of, organically developing pressures.
Right.
Corporate media wants to get clicks, so what are they going to do? They're going to sensationalize, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you go around the world and you go, wouldn't Germany have these same? Wouldn't the media in Germany have the same exact pressures? Wouldn't they want to get more clicks? And what is so significantly different about Germany, about Britain, about Italy, about Denmark, about so many countries around the world that would have to be dealing with these same pressures? You do not find that in their media landscape they are running down their leaders at all.
Right.
Germany actually has a political spectrum that is vastly greater than ours. Our political differences between Democrats and Republicans are actually quite narrow compared to almost any other country in the world.
Okay.
Goodness gracious, Israel has people sitting in the Israeli parliament that actually believe in the total dissolution of the state.
Right.
Believe that Israel should not exist.
Right.
Sitting members.
Right.
Right. So that we're talking about. That's a pretty big range.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a huge range. Yeah.
Germany has 12 parties, full
right.
extreme
Crazy
green.
Multiple parties.
You know what I mean? And they have to get this coalition. So the debate is between a much larger range of possibilities, and so you would imagine that the passions would be even greater. But no, when you look at their presidential debate, it's just eminently reasonable.
Right.
And the media treats it in this incredibly reasonable, judicious, academic way. So what is so different about the United States that our media is just hell-bent on dividing this country? I mean, it only makes sense to Americans if you don't travel around the world and see, wait a second, this isn't happening anywhere else. What is Canadian media doing?
But do you have an answer to that question? Or
I do.
Okay, then I want to hear what it is, because then part of the problem, I think, just a short term, is that enough Americans don't travel. Enough of them don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. We get all our news and information from what's happening in the United States. We're not aware of things. I learned this talking to other people traveling and stuff. I think everyone should travel. Everyone should travel the world. And see what other countries are like. Because the problem is, in the U.S., we're so sheltered. We don't get invaded. Nobody comes in here. You know, we're the United States. And then you build up the whole, we're America and we're number one and all this stuff. And we're fed that stuff for years. But no one knows really what's going on in the rest of the world. They have no comparison to understand that in Germany it's not like this. Why is it like that here? So I don't think they have an open enough mind to look and go, why is it different there? They're taught they're wrong no matter what.
Well,
those are enemies over there.
I would push back on one point that you like. We're being fed that we're number one. I think our next generation is being fed that we're the source of all evil.
You're right. I agree with that. You're right. Because the old 50s and 60s stuff was the old America tonight together. Like when you said about us coming together.
Yeah, and I think that there's a certain. I mean, it's going to be extremely controversial for people. You know, for the 9 people watching. But
sorry, I'll get another 9 people in 6 months.
Okay. But I mean, I think there's something to be said about that '60s unity.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you talk about the unity of the rallying around the flag, rallying around the American experiment, and all the things that are great about this country, a lot of people think that somehow it's a throwback to that version of the United States, and so therefore you're wanting a throwback to all the racism and everything else.
Right. Yeah.
No, you can excise those elements while retaining the America as a melting pot, as a unity.
Right.
You know, those elements are what made us great. The racism and all those other things didn't. But you actually do find though that even in the worst of those scenarios, you look at minority cultures, which, I mean, even despite all of the headwinds, you had significantly greater entrepreneurial ism within minority communities back in decades ago. Significantly greater income versus average income versus other communities. So you actually had much better stats in those communities, even with the headwinds, because they were aspiring to that overriding media position that the United States was great, that we're all unified. That message that permeated school, that permeated your kindergarten class, that permeated your 7th grade social studies class, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That permeated your universities. That message is still so powerful. The message of unity is so powerful. And of greatness, and of that this experiment is worth protecting.
Right.
That we really are a city on a hill. That we deserve to think of ourselves in a way that has internal American pride. That's something that is too valuable to lose.
Right. No, I agree with that. I agree. One of the my daughters are that generation. They're Generation Z. So a lot of the stuff I talk about during my show is the difference.
How old is that?
They're 22 and 20.
That's Generation Z.
That's Generation Z. They're 22 and 20. Lily will be 20 in a month or two.
Okay. That's not millennial? What's millennial?
Millennial's just a little bit older than that. So it's late 20s, 30s. Late 20s, okay. Early 30s, I think.
What's the new ones?
The newest one now is I just found out what it was.
Who's naming these?
I don't know. I don't know who's in charge of the names. And I'm in the middle, like I'm in the middle. I'm right on the edge of Boomer and Generation X. Yeah, I'm right on the edge of that. Yeah. So
X is the best.
I think I'm X, but my daughters call me Boomer. So whatever. But I can't remember the new one. I just heard what it was. I laughed.
X is defined by MTV and MTV News.
But there's also longer though. It's also a longer generation. I think the other one seems shorter. You know what I mean? Like
they're coming hot and heavy now.
Yeah, they're down to like 4 or 5 years.
We have twins
and
born.
I think they used to be 10
the older
18.
twins.
Yeah.
Like,
fuck, I would steal that in a heartbeat. That's a great joke. That's very funny. Can I steal that?
Yeah. No. Your 9 friends are gonna know that I wrote.
I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm gonna do something about the generations moving so fast. You could be a twin, and your twin brother could be a different, earlier generation. And then the way the two of you, I'm Generation Z. Well, I'm Generation I, or whatever the fuck it is. Okay. But my daughters always talk about, and they're very. They got very involved during COVID, during Black Lives Matter, during Trump, all of it. They got very involved politically in a lot of things. And I have an American flag that hangs to my. They make fun of my room because it's like a dorm room. I have a U.S. flag, I have a Chicago flag, I have a Bears flag, I have a Blackhawks flag, I have all stuff.
So my daughters go, "Why do you have the American flag hanging in your room?" I go, "Because I like it. I'm proud to." But Dad, this country, this country that. Don't you think that this country sucks? This is wrong, and this is. I go, "No." I love my country. I just think we could do better a lot. That's all. I love my country.
Yeah, we could do better, but I mean, it's impossible to get into this without getting into the Da Vinci Code, because the Da Vinci Code actually is the piece of the puzzle that's missing from the historical landscape.
Right.
Leonardo da Vinci left a secret message in the Mona Lisa.
Right.
That message has game-changing implications.
Okay.
For all of these conversations.
Right.
Right. So any conversation into politics, it's like, well, let me show you the code, what it means, and then we can have a discussion again.
Right. Okay.
And then after that, it's like select all, delete everything you thought you knew, and now you're standing again. You're like, oh.
There's a guy that wrote a book called "Breaking the Da Vinci Code," I think.
Yeah, he didn't. No, what that guy found was literally there was a bridge.
Yeah.
And that bridge, he thinks he found that bridge in in Renaissance Florence. So he thinks he knows one of the elements, I think, if it's the same one.
It's
don't Google it. I'm right.
No, there's a guy that
don't fact check me, because then I'll be. No, I don't know, but if that's the same one, that because he certainly didn't break the Da Vinci Code.
No, he wrote a book about the about the Da Vinci Code or something like that.
Oh, debunking.
That's I don't know.
Yeah. The Dan Brown novel is fiction.
Okay, Dan Brown is the.
Yeah. The novel everyone's heard of is a complete work of fiction that has nothing to do with the actual message in the Mona Lisa.
Cracking the Da Vinci Code. Simon Cox wrote a book. Yeah, that's the guy. So Dan Brown wrote the book.
Okay.
Which was the original Da Vinci Code or whatever. What was his book? Simon wrote Cracking the Da Vinci Code, The Facts Behind the Journey. Basically, it's a different it's a behind this. It's supposed to be, I don't know what it is.
Okay, I'll read it.
But I know this guy because my ex-wife left me for him. So that's how I know him. Well, they were only together a short period of time, but yes, that's basically how his name came up. Every time you say Da Vinci Code, I think of his name. I go,
oh, that's great. You get red in the face.
No,
why is this triggering you so much?
It's been a while ago. Yeah, there was a time I would have strangled him, but I didn't care anymore.
Can't stand Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay, but getting back to what we're originally saying, I agree with you. You're totally right about there's something right about the house on the hill theory, about that whole that we are a community.
Here's what's going wrong with the university, like because I went through it and I studied politics. Like what the professors are doing is they're delivering what is an eminently debatable conversation. Like you have a point and then I have a point,
right?
And then you have a point and then I have a point, right? But when you have 95% of the professors coming from a particular political persuasion, and we're talking about a radical level of that political persuasion.
Right.
They frame the conversation as, you had a point that was stupid, and now I have the final point.
Right.
Right? And so this is the lie. This is one of the ways that the media is lying to you on a daily basis.
Right.
They are pretending that an eminently debatable conversation isn't debatable at all.
Right. Well, I think that's a bigger problem. All of our society does that now. You can't debate anything anymore because you're called stupid. If you don't agree with me, you're an idiot. And you're
bigot
wrong.
Is what it is. A racist.
Yes.
Is what it,
Or whatever other label you want to put on it on the other side, or flip it around or whatever. It doesn't matter. But you can't have there used to be a day when you could have a conversation with somebody and you had different beliefs, and then you hung out and you had dinner and there was no big deal, and you could have a conversation.
Honestly, what is the I have like pretty entrenched political philosophies, but my political philosophy begins with every single one of us actually doesn't have a debate over where we want the goal to be.
Right.
No, it's not like anybody is sitting around going like, okay, deaths by fentanyl. How many people want those to go up?
Yeah.
Ups. Okay, downs. Okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not going literacy rate. How many people would like the literacy rate to plummet? Plummet?
Yeah.
You know, crime. In any given issue, You know what I mean? It's
Sure.
not like there's a debate.
Right.
Healthcare outcomes. You
Right.
can just go down the list.
Sure.
So you look at like Bernie Sanders wants a particular, he wants universal healthcare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have other people that want a different type of system.
Sure. Yeah.
So these people absolutely hate each other, but you go, no, wait a second. If your heart is in the right place, which
Yeah.
I don't even debate that Bernie's heart would be in the right place.
Right.
If your heart is in the right place, all you're doing is you think there's a better route to get to the place we all agree on.
Right. Which is why we're all supposed to talk together and come up with a solution to get a compromise. That's how you build. That's how you figure it out. There's no right. You're right. Sometimes it's not a strict right and a strict wrong. Here's some points. Let's come together somewhere in the middle. Figure out the best way to.
I happen to disagree with that particular political philosophy. I mean, the one that I think that no, it's a scientific question,
Okay.
and the scientific question has an answer. It's not like let's say that we were talking about any other scientific question, right?
Right.
Anytime you're talking about data points, like take healthcare outcomes. Healthcare outcomes can be defined as a particular list of scientific equations. You're looking at what's the life expectancy,
right?
What's how many deaths happen at birth, how many pregnant mothers have a successful outcome.
Numbers.
It's factual numbers.
Right.
We don't debate which direction we want those numbers to travel.
Okay.
Nobody debates that.
Right.
Once you have those two things in place, that you realize these are empirical data sets, they require scientific evaluation, meaning in order to get that number to go up to its highest possible value, what set of policies should we implement? If you have you ever seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You know the thinking computer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They ask that computer, what's the meaning of life? If they ask the computer a much more valuable question, and of course the computer spits out 47, which is a great answer. If you ask the computer a much better question, which would be the question that everyone is asking themselves, which is probably one of the most significant questions, if not the most significant question you would ask, and the most important question in politics: how should we govern ourselves?
Right.
In order to, and then you put the parameters, make healthcare outcomes the best
possible,
possible,
okay,
decrease, increase human flourishing and decrease human suffering to its lowest possible level,
right,
and increase flourishing to its highest possible level. However you want to define those terms, but they're easily definable.
Right.
That computer would spit out an answer.
Right.
Okay? That answer would not be a compromise.
Right.
That answer would be, no, this answer is correct and your answer is wrong.
Oh, that's a good point.
There would be a scientific conclusion to that question that would be empirical and would be true.
Right.
I believe in the finding of that. See, the thing about most people is that they have abandoned the idea that all political philosophy throughout for hundreds and hundreds of years revolved around a single question. Kant actually articulates this question in the 1700s. He writes, what or is there progress? And everyone has been trying to debate that. Mm-hmm. Now, I think that it's obvious that there is such a thing as progress, because you can imagine things getting significantly worse.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there is a best solution to everything. The answer of politics is to find that solution and implement it. And I do believe that there are actual answers to these questions that we all have. It's just and most. So the only thing that you would be evaluating within it, like the political debate, would be, is your heart in the right place?
Right.
Which no one answers, because everybody knows that for the vast majority of the people in politics,
right,
and the vast majority of the American citizens, no matter what side of this equation you're on, your heart. Take the. This is going to be horribly controversial. Take the January 6th.
Right.
Insurrection.
Okay.
Right. This equation just cleaves that conventional narrative. It just destroys it, because the idea of an insurrection is, what is the heart of the people engaged in it?
Right.
Did those people who were at January 6th, did they believe that Donald Trump had lost the election legitimately?
Right.
But they didn't care. They were going to overthrow the government and install a dictator, a completely new form of government. Or did they believe, in their heart, I don't care what the evidence is or whether it was true or not, did they believe that he had won and that the Democrats had cheated?
Right.
They believed that he'd won and the Democrats cheated.
Right.
So they thought that the democratic process hadn't happened.
Right.
They didn't believe that the democratic process had played out, truthfully, and Biden actually won.
Right.
So you go, okay, so no. It's the heart of the even in a scenario that
like
extreme.
Intent is the same. You know what I mean? Intent is kind of this, basically what it comes down to. Yeah, but and those people, on some of those people were lied to. They believed what they knew from the major media and what they were told. A lot of that is a result of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
they were lied to and believed certain things based on lies they were told.
Yes, and also I would have to say, we probably have to cut this whole part out because I don't want to be on record with this. But they maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how bad it is.
I'll let you look it over before I.
Yeah, okay.
I know I'm already editing stuff at the beginning.
Yeah. We probably should cut the Cosby bits out too. You can now be seen defending Cosby and the insurrection. Oh my gosh, I'm done.
Guys,
I'm donezo.
My podcast will be dead before I start the ground.
Yes, but I'd have to say, a significant amount of what they were told weren't lies. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. When you have a media that is overwhelmingly run by people with an agenda, they are never going to accurately display the facts.
Right. They're not going to give you all the facts.
They're not going to give you all the facts.
They're going to give, like you're right. They might have been told the truth about certain things, but there are other truths they were not told.
Not told.
And if they don't combine those, they can't go, oh well, shit. Because you know what I mean. You can't do the math in your head without the other information.
Yeah. So the facts that they were told that were real, okay, were facts like when you study politics in any sort of depth, you know that the political campaigns are studied at this point in American politics like to the nth degree. Teams of scientists, they run the data sets on every single thing about the electorate, and within those centuries old analytics, there are trends that have either never failed or only once in 200 years have they ever failed. Right? Multiple different data sets of trends. One of them is very simple. It's called the bellwether. Right? There are counties that tend to never not vote for the president.
Right, okay.
They're swing counties.
That's weird. Okay, yeah.
Okay?
All right.
There were 19 counties in the United States that had never not voted for the president since 1980.
Okay.
Since the year 2000, there were something like 56, somewhere around there, 56, 57 counties.
Right.
Donald Trump won 18 of those 19 bellwether counties.
Okay.
He won 53 of the 56 or 57. That's unbelievable.
Okay.
In a single presidential election, it completely destroyed the entire phenomenon.
Well, wait a minute. Those counties, they never not vote for the president.
They always get it right.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. 19 counties had never gotten it wrong in over 40 years. Yeah, 18 of those 19 counties voted for Donald Trump, and many of them by quite a big measure.
Right.
That had never occurred in the entire history of American politics.
Right.
53 of the 56 or 57 counties since the year 2000 had never not voted for correctly who ended up becoming president.
Right.
And they all voted for Trump.
Right.
He, in a single election, completely eliminated the idea of the bellwether. Now, this is an extraordinary anomaly.
See, now it is, and also I was playing Dallas a few weeks ago with a friend of mine who's a hardcore Trump supporter. We had a long discussion one night over was the election stolen, was it wasn't, whatever. But he brought up certain facts that I had never heard, certain things that I never heard that before. So I'm talking about not having the information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That maybe should be some information that maybe the other side should have heard and went, oh really? You know, then it is. I see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that goes right back to what we talked about earlier about the agenda not being told all of the facts.
Yeah, so you have, and I can promise you, there is almost nobody at that rally on January 6th who didn't know that.
Right.
And there was a series of other ones, some of them going back centuries.
Right.
I mean, like in 150 years. I mean, I'd have to go back and get the exact number, but in somewhere around that amount of time, no president had ever gained substantially between the first election and the second election and not one re-election.
Right, I knew that one.
Donald Trump gained 15 million votes almost.
Yeah, right.
That's a staggering amount of increase. He gained in so many different categories of the electorate.
Right.
And somehow, so that would be like, that would be like the 5-minute mile in the Olympics, and no one's ever beaten the 5-minute mile.
Yeah.
And the first person to beat the 5-minute mile comes in second to someone who's the first person who ever won the 4 minute.
Right.
And you're like, what
the hell?
Did that guy?
How did that happen?
How did that happen? Just out of the blue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are the odds?
Couldn't get 15 people at a rally. Now, I'm not saying that it was or wasn't. What I'm saying is, you look at the totality of the facts surrounding it, plus then the extraordinary number of anomalies that occurred on the night of the election, where it shut down the vote counts, and then came back with huge dumps, and like all night long it was trending in one direction, then all of a sudden, and you're like, I mean, when you put all those things together, I'm not saying that it was or wasn't. What I'm saying is that any objective view of that would be like, man, I mean, a perfect storm of data coalesced to convince that group of people that the Democrats had cheated.
Right.
Okay? They believed it. They weren't committing an insurrection. They believed they had cheated the real democracy.
And you can certainly understand that point of view if you have that information. You know what I mean? You can certainly understand, well, that's why they think, of course they would think that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would, and again, I'm not saying it was. I'm not agreeing and saying it was stolen or anything. I'm not but when I can see why there would be this many people. And you talk, how many of these people came up afterwards and ended up going to court and got in trouble and all this stuff, and they all said they came from that point of view. They said, this is what I believed. I believed that they cheated.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they're all trying to pin it on Donald Trump, and so even those people will be like, well, because I mean, my gosh, at that point you'll do anything to get your life back.
Right.
These people's lives are absolutely.
You have these are average Americans, dude.
Average Americans. Right. We're talking veterans. Sure. We're talking policemen.
Yeah.
We're talking elderly.
And there are people that believe in this country and thought they were doing the right thing.
Yes.
Right. Now you're right.
They genuinely believe
and
the
their lives are
Democrats
completely over
because they knew this.
And if you're locked in a room long enough and you're told something long enough, it's like any other criminal. You know what I mean? You're after 4 months of this, and then you realize I can go back to my family. I can get my job. I can. You know what? The more I think about it, I'm sorry. And I'm not. Again, I always get in trouble with this. Like, I've never been a Trump supporter, but I completely understand why people support Trump, because he's the opposite of. To me, he's the opposite of the political system, and a lot of that's been going on. He's got his own issues and his own stuff, but I really think. God, what was the reason I brought this up? I think that, they've been going after him since the.
Well, there are two things that his supporter knows.
Yeah.
Okay, there are two things. Now, a lot of times people talk about these people like they are, hillbillies and politically ignorant.
Yeah, they make them point a picture of
Farmers are extremely intelligent people.
Yeah, very extremely. And they have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are two things that the politically unsavvy person who supports Trump, I believe, I haven't done extensive surveys of his supporters, but I think there's two things that they believe that they know.
Right.
One, there's something wrong with the system.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Something is wrong.
Right.
You can clearly see that the entire media landscape has an agenda, and that his agenda is not to tell you the truth.
Right.
That they know. They know that deep down in their bones.
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
The second thing that they know for certain is the system doesn't seem to like Trump.
Yeah. Right. That's true. That's 100% true. Because when he got in, it was the whole Russiagate thing, and now for 3 years now they've been doing everything they can to make sure he's not even on the ballot.
You're looking at the same agenda that is saying that they are supporting democracy, are doing a frontal assault against the democratic process at the same time.
The whole keep him off the ballot thing is the worst it's the worst thing in the world. That's the whole point of why we're supposed to be who we are is that you can run for president and you can win.
It shows a total disdain for the American people.
It shows, right, 100% right. For the average person, yeah.
It says, no, you don't understand.
And guess what they do? They talk down to you, and they go, we know. Yeah. And we're supposed to go,
and while they're feeding you lies.
That's why they're feeding us lies from both sides.
Yeah, so the people that are smart enough, you actually do find that there's two groups of people like that. There's the people that just instinctually, maybe that rural farmer, who's not I would say extremely intelligent, but out doing things.
Yeah.
He's actually planting crops. He's actually calculating, the weather patterns.
Yeah.
He's too busy.
He's going to be
all day long
24 hours a day,
like you and I do every day, all day long.
Yeah, because we have nothing to do. Fucking cabin. Yeah, right.
I know it's so funny that we're the entertainers. And what do you do?
Right.
But that guy is like, okay, there's one thing I know for absolutely certain, and that's that there is something wrong with the media. And the second thing I know for certain is that they clearly don't like this man. And I'll tell you, the first time that I encountered this, because again, like I told you, I was studying politics and I was in college, and the first time that I encountered this was the first presidential candidate that I ever actually, if you could say, fell in love with, but the first person who actually woke me to, holy cow, I love this conversation. This is the conversation that I want to be having the rest of my life.
Yeah.
How should we govern ourselves? And that was Ron Paul.
Okay.
And he went to the Republican debate, and it was like cookie cutter, like Nikki Haley types,
right.
back then.
Yeah.
Just to put it in modern, so
yeah, just spewing out the same
just
agenda
the
or stream.
And then there was Ron Paul.
Right.
And he was always on the far end.
Right.
And then it was just this incredible setup. And then he would start talking. The crowd is going bonkers.
Right.
Bonkers. Every single line he gave, and he wasn't like a politician. He wasn't giving lines. He was talking in a way that was so down to earth, that was so real.
Right.
He was like, talking about our wars overseas and how this is creating this extraordinary blowback, and how the Federal Reserve is printing money and this is causing inflation. This is a tax.
Right.
And when you look over the course of your lifetime, my goodness, over the course of the Byzantine Empire, what a gallon of milk cost 1,000 years earlier is what it cost 1,000 years later.
Yeah.
Because they were using gold, and when you print money, what you're doing is you're just deflating and inflating all of your wealth.
Doesn't mean anything.
Meaning everything you did as a kid is meaningless now.
Right.
When I traveled around the world and I'm looking at these other countries, like I went to Trinidad, and there was a bill that they had, and the bill was $250 quadrillion. I still have that bill, a real currency.
Yeah.
And you're looking at, holy crap! Imagine the Trinidadian millionaire who worked his his whole life, saved and is actually a millionaire, and then all of a sudden, like 2 years, 250 quadrillion dollars, they're wiping their butts with because it's not worth a loaf of bread.
What about all my all this shit that I worked my ass off?
Gone. So you realize what the effect is, and you start to study history and realize Thomas Jefferson, his single greatest preachment after the Revolutionary War, right after he put his life on the line, is he's going around the colonies and he's telling them, do not ever allow a central bank into this country.
Right. Yeah.
So you looked at it, and what I noticed was what the media did to Ron Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, on Fox News and the MSNBC and like the entire media landscape considered him such a threat that, he would win, like, early stages. He was number one leader on the internet. He was number one, donations, number one number of different Americans donating. He was number one in category after category after category, and they just pretended he didn't exist.
Right.
And Jon Stewart did this whole bit. I don't remember Jon Stewart.
Yeah,
he did this whole bit on Ron. I know.
I haven't seen it.
I'm looking forward to that. So that's the first thing that woke me up to the fact that, oh my gosh, this media has an agenda, because they're like, they would literally go, and Jon Stewart ran a whole montage on this, which is funny. I think everyone should look it up, because it'll wake you up.
I'll look it up for sure.
It doesn't matter whether you agree with him or not.
Right.
What matters is, holy cow.
Well, it should open your eyes to fucking the way what's going on, or how they're handling it.
There's an agenda here. Yeah. Because when you look at the guy that's winning all of these early, election polls, and they would literally just start with number 2.
Right.
And Jon Stewart, he's like, you forgot a guy.
Yeah.
And that made me realize, okay, something is up.
I'll have to check that out.
And watching that unfold over the last, 10, 20 years, and every year, it just gets more and more intense.
Well, that's when Trump came in. That's when I felt when he came in. Like, I didn't vote for him the first time, or I didn't believe, but I understood why. I think everything has to do with money. I think it's rich. You know what I mean? I think people with the 1%, they want to keep people thinking certain things, and they don't want anybody in to mess up the system. They have a system, and if somebody from the outside from the system comes in and wants to change things, it's going to cost somebody some money, a lot of money somewhere, and they don't want that to happen.
Yeah, that's the Noam Chomsky conclusion.
Yeah.
Masters of the Universe.
Right.
He assumes that something is corrupting the system.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
That much we can all agree on.
Right, 100%.
Something's not right.
Right.
Whoever those people are, they don't like Trump.
Right.
No,
Right.
But let's just start with something's corrupting the system. Well, who's the most powerful? It's the billionaires.
Yeah.
Must be them.
Right.
Right. What the Da Vinci Code does is it gives you the, I see. The perspective of the Da Vinci Code, and I will summarize it this way.
Okay.
Okay. Have you seen the Truman Show?
Yeah, I love the Truman Show. Of
Okay.
course, Jim Carrey. I just watched it last week, in fact. My daughter's favorite movie. She did her senior paper on the Truman Show.
See, this is the universe.
Okay.
This is what I call
Yeah.
the universe.
Okay.
So, what the United States has never fathomed, what no one has ever fathomed, our intel community has never even imagined this. I've spoken to so many of them about this subject. They've never even imagined that the United States is Jim Carrey in the Truman Show. If you look at the Truman Show and all of the characters in it, if you don't know, it's about a guy who's every other person in his entire city is an actor.
Right.
He's the only person living an authentic life.
Right.
Okay? He has no idea that he's on a TV show.
Right.
If you look at Jim Carrey's character, as every character in that is a country of the world, the United States never fathomed that every other country was in on a joke that we're not in on.
Okay.
That never dawned on us.
Okay.
Just like in the film, his mother, his best friend, how does his best friend get him to come off, when he starts, and Jim Carrey throughout the course is starting to notice, he's like, something isn't right.
Right, a little
lights
sign signals
falling from the sky.
Guys in the elevator, there's a whole bunch of things.
Little clues, and that's
Right.
where we're at right now as a country.
Right.
We're getting little clues that something isn't right, The Noam Chomsky thing says it must be coming from the American billionaire.
Right.
But what the Da Vinci Code says is no. The truth is that the United States is actually living in a world environment that we never fathomed. It never dawned on us that when we became a country, it was kind of like a prisoner entering a prison yard for the very first time. Soon, we were like young and plucky, but we were working out.
Right.
And we became the biggest, baddest guy in that
Right.
yard.
Right.
What the United States never realized is that before we got there, all the other prisoners knew each other.
Right.
And had known each other for a very, very long time.
Right.
And they made a pact a long, long time ago that they might be, some of them might pretend to be friends with you just to get stuff out of you. Everyone is taking you for a ride.
Right.
And there are some people who are clearly enemies. Like they seem to clearly not like us, right?
Mm-hmm.
What the United States never knew is that all of those prisoners had made a pact before we ever got there that no matter what they did, eventually they were all going to come together and kill the new guy.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not that involved. I gotta read that up in the Da Vinci Code.
No, this isn't the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, it's not the Da Vinci
That's the one that you said. Dan Brown is the fake one.
Right.
The real message.
Okay.
This is the actual message.
Okay.
This message is the one that what would make a 15th century, 16th century greatest mind of the Renaissance spend his life's work
Right.
painting that secret into the Mona Lisa.
Right.
This is the reason why the greatest mind possibly of all time knew that this was a message that was going to punch a hole in the reality of every single human being on earth.
Okay.
This was worthy of the smirk that she's giving her audience.
Right.
I know something you don't. It's not some, carrot cake recipe. It's not something like Jesus had a girlfriend.
Right.
It's what I just described to you.
Right.
It is an explanation of the geopolitical reality and the geopolitical reality that the United States has never fathomed.
Well, that's first of all, is this going to get me killed if I put this on the internet?
If the camera saw both our faces, did it pick up your face too?
Yeah.
Oh,
I got both of us, bro. For a second, I was
perfect
like, dude, we're just a couple of fucking entertainers on a cruise ship.
You have to slow that down.
I'll freeze it right then. That might end it there. It wouldn't be
that would go viral,
dude. I'm a big believer in. I have an open mind to a lot of things, and that wouldn't surprise me at one bit. If you think of it, it makes complete sense on a lot of levels. Because I always say everybody in the game has been around way longer than we've been. You know what I mean? We've only been here 300 years? 280? Was it 300 years?
No, we've been around 247 years.
Okay, 247 years. Other places have been around for fucking thousands and thousands of years.
the rest of the countries in these other countries, they've been here a long time.
Guess what they learned in that amount of time?
A lot of blood. What?
They learned how to use. And this is getting a little deeper. Right?
Yeah.
This bit might get you killed. I've never said this on online before. Of course, now we're glad no one's watching.
Yeah, right.
You're like what they learned in that amount of time, what China learned, what Russia learned, what the Middle East learned, right, in the thousands of years that their cultures, have been functioning, is how to use what I call timed weapons. It's weapons the United States has never fathomed.
Right.
It's weapons that require generations, centuries in order to actually activate.
Okay.
So not only did they learn how to use timed weapons, right, very effectively, because they've been around for even longer than history is totally aware. Well, history's aware, but I'm not. This isn't like some sort of conspiracy like aliens. No, this is
right.
These cultures have been coherent for so long that they not only learned how to deploy timed weapons, but they all knew about the timed weapons, and they learned how to defend themselves against timed weapons.
Right.
This is one of the reasons why other countries act in ways that we just can't fathom. Like, why are they such assholes?
Right.
Right? To their own people. Why are they like that?
Right.
So many of the things that they're doing that we don't understand why they would do something like that is because they are aware of these timed weapons and they know when they're being deployed against them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're extremely vigilant to not allow those timed weapons to go off in their society.
Okay.
Many of these timed weapons, we know, obviously, they go by different names,
Mm-hmm.
right? Many of these timed weapons are, religious-based. Many of these timed weapons are hereditary-based or population demographics-based.
Okay.
So, you're looking at what would have to be what we would consider to be kind of an iron-fisted government in order to protect yourself against these known timed weapons. The United States has never fathomed weapons of this kind.
Right.
So all the other countries of the world are deploying them against us. 9/11 was a timed weapon.
Okay.
We've never fathomed 9/11 correctly because we had no idea that they utilized weapons of this kind.
Okay.
So the central question of 9/11 is, you expect me to just believe that somehow a bin Laden coordinates the most successful attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor,
Right.
while the rest of his family just so happened to be personal family friends with the sitting president at the time of the attack?
Right. Right.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, there's a coincidence thing.
You expect me to believe that just magically configured itself? You know what I mean? Like a tornado hitting a junk pile and like creating a 747?
Right.
That is an extraordinary coincidence,
Right.
at the very bare minimum.
Right.
Who is bin Laden? Who is Osama bin Laden? At the base, we know Osama bin Laden, the one thing of all the things that people say and lies and conspiracies, the one thing we know for certain is that Osama bin Laden was a bin Laden.
Right.
Who are the bin Ladens? The bin Ladens are the closest family to Saudi Arabia in Saudi Arabia. They are about 600 members of the bin Laden group. They own the bin Laden group. It is the entire media arm of Saudi Arabia. This isn't just some, terrorist family.
Right.
This is a family of billionaires. They run Saudi's entire media organization. They control all media in Saudi Arabia. They are the closest family friends to the crown outside of House Saud itself.
Right.
The most trusted family outside of the crown. Meaning, Osama bin Laden wouldn't have had to just been acting rogue.
Right.
He would have had to have absolutely hated his entire family.
Right.
He would have been putting everything that they've worked for centuries
Right.
to get into this position at risk.
Right.
Do you believe that that's true?
Yeah, I don't know.
They don't talk about him like he's the black sheep of the family. They talk about him like he's the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
When his family members even mention his name, they weep tears of admiration
Yeah.
for this guy. Okay?
Yeah.
And his firstborn son married the daughter of the lead hijacker.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, This isn't the black sheep of the family.
Right.
This is the assaulted one. I mean, the absolutely enshrined in sainthood.
Right.
So, how did that configure itself that way then? Do you not? I by the way, I've talked to Pentagon officials, State Department officials about this exact phenomenon. I mean, and they're all like, "No," like that scene in Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
No, dude, that had not occurred to us. I said, so how do you think that they managed that? The Crown sent the bin Ladens into the United States decades before 9/11. They were sent into the United States with a purpose to spend millions and millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars. This is a lot. This is a huge amount of money. And certainly back then, they were spending it on American political campaigns, surrounding certain candidates with huge amounts of money and legitimacy. Right? They were entrenched in George Bush Sr.'s political campaign.
Right.
In Prescott Bush's political career. That's how far back this family went. They were sent into the United States and told to become entrenched in American politics. So they were spending so much money on American politics that there was bound to be, right, personal family friends with anyone who was even in close to what would be considered establishment American politics. They centered on the Bush family because they were both in oil. Okay, and began promoting the Bushes for that long. No one would have ever fathomed that the Saudi crown was coordinating 9/11 for 60 years. And that's why all the hijackers are Saudi, right? All the funding went back to Saudi Arabia. The 9/11 families, they're not suing the bin Ladens, they're suing the crown.
Right.
Because every single bit, because they're the ones that cared.
Right.
And they were on it like a dog, right?
Right.
On a bone. So every single bit of evidence that emerged since 9/11 told them the crown did this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reason why our intel community couldn't fathom, like, why would the crown coordinate the most successful attack on American soil in generations,
Right.
while pretending to be a friend of the United States? They couldn't put that together because they don't understand the long game that these people are playing.
Right.
They'd embedded the bin Ladens in the United States for generations in order to become personal family friends with anyone who would be even close to the presidency. Right? That way they would be in a position, and this is what's critical, to manipulate the United States in the aftermath of an attack that they were planning the entire time.
Yeah.
Once you realize how sophisticated this plan was, the generational level of it, right? You immediately are confronted with, wait a second, the Saudi crown just 60 years ago decided to come up with this unreasonably complicated plan in order to why? What for? They would have to only be playing, and this is the actual truth, their part in a much more sophisticated international plan in order to systematically destabilize the United States over time. They're using timed weapons.
Okay.
I know it's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow.
No, this is the deepest this podcast has ever gotten. I got to be honest with you.
I know. And we started out with like, isn't Amy Schumer's fart jokes funny?
I don't think we didn't talk about the shows once. I don't think.
What show?
No, our shows. Our shows.
Oh, our stupid shows.
No, our stupid shows. Our shows kind of don't mean shit now after this hour. My podcast, I usually go 40 minutes, maybe an hour. We're at almost 2 hours right now.
No way.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. This might be the greatest podcast I've ever done in my entire fucking life. This is great. This is awesome, dude. No, I love talking about this shit. I love this shit. It all makes sense. I understand it. You know what I mean? But the timed weapon thing, I could read that shit forever. I never wrapped my head around that thought concept before.
No, and I can tell you this. The thing that I think should, to end that, to put a button on that, I mean, you said, you never fathomed a timed weapon. What should be alarming to every American citizen is that I have spoken with enough high-ranking intel officials to tell you unequivocally, they never thought of it either.
Right.
I asked him, I said, if this is true, how are you sure that there's nobody, there's not like some secret room at the Pentagon where they're fathoming this? And she goes,
no,
not even close.
See, that's mind-blowing to me because I think about the long-term
deconstruction of the United States from within is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially through the Trump presidency and through now, and watching the world through my daughter's eyes as well, because they look at the world from we talk a lot about everything.
Yeah.
My kids and I are very tight, so we talk about different point of view and we agree. But I look at things and compare it to when I was a kid, and there's just certain things that you look at. It's almost like the deconstruction of the country, where there's certain things that happen here. We're like, why is that okay now? We're moving backwards on a level that's just really weird.
You expect us to believe that somehow all of this is just happening randomly.
Yeah.
It's a perfect
Yeah.
sequence of events to destabilize our system.
Yeah.
But who would be doing it?
Yeah.
The Chomsky, without the Da Vinci Code,
Right.
the answer is we have to be doing it ourselves.
Right.
This must be organically developing, right?
Well, that's also an American belief, though.
Yes.
America, you think it's always everything's about us.
Yes.
Yes, it's always our fault.
You can't imagine.
You can't imagine
how
the rest
other
of the
countries
world
be doing this.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
But the fact, again, I go back to the fact the rest of the world's been here way longer than we have.
And they've learned how to do it.
Sure.
They've learned how to destabilize.
Dynasties have existed for hundreds and thousands of years.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, we've been here 247 years. You know what I mean? We're like the shitty fucking.
I won't mention
room.
that you said 300, but
That's fine. That's okay. My numbers are a little off. I was speaking ballpark.
we've been here what 100, 500?
Well, how long would it be? Like a 25-year existence in this country?
It's easier for me. I shouldn't give this up, but it's a little easier for me to know that answer because I was born on the bicentennial.
Ah, it's okay.
So I just have to add 200 to my birthday. I know, but it does make me seem smart, doesn't it? You're like,
Yeah.
we were here what 150, 300, 500. I'm like 247 years. You're like 247 years.
I started with 300. That's pretty close.
That is.
within 53. That's not bad. That's
Yeah.
within 53 years.
Yeah.
I forget 76 is the bicentennial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, how do you want to wrap this?
How
do you normally do it? Is there a
I
slogan?
normally go, well, first, I always have you look right to the camera and plug your socials so that people can come see you live whenever you're performing somewhere, or plug whatever you have coming up or anything you want to plug.
Okay. My socials are the Klinkenberg. I don't know why I put a the in front of everything. There was a lot of fake ones.
I like it. I put Mr. in front of mine.
Okay, yeah, Mr. The website is thedavinchisolution.com. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see me at davidklinkenberg.com, but yeah.
Yeah, right on.
But if you're checking out the...
Dude, we covered a lot of shit. This was fucking awesome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. You're still watching? That's amazing. Nobody does that. Nobody, but you did. That means you want more. Pick one of these clips. Go for it. I dare you. Hey, also follow one of those social media thingies.